Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Clay Golem. We're doing Phandelver and Below, part of our live stream. One of you kind people, just make sure that you can hear me. I'm paranoid now after that one time where we had minutes of silence. Wiggle my mouse. There we go. Somebody will check in, I am sure. This looks horrible, doesn't it? Because I've still got the grid on. So, where were we? We did all the walls. How boring was that? Brilliant. Thanks you, Eagler. Missed you last week, buddy. Good to have you back. Yeah, we did all the walls last time. We've currently got the hideous grid on, so it looks flipping awful. We've got a couple of things to do today. Obviously, we need to go through every single room and populate it with its various monsters and gribblies and traps and everything else. That's a bit of a no-brainer. But also, we've got all these tiles. Tiles. Let me find them. Tiles, loads of tiles that potentially can go onto this for us. So I think what we'll do is we'll just start at each room, and if there's a tile, we'll add it or have a look at it, and if there isn't, then we won't. So let's start over here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that grid down a bit, because that's a bit much, isn't it? It's a bit in our face. There we go. We can still see it. Hopefully you can still see that nice and clearly if I'm zoomed in a bit without it being quite so glary in your face. I am going to put my areas on. So remember that this is the original Phandelver and Below. It's not the Shattered Obelisk module, because it's aimed at those brand new players, and the idea is to get them into the game so that they get a good idea of the rules and everything else, without us spending too much of their time on what is quite a simplistic module. There is no reason at all that you can't then use this and take it onwards, above and beyond. Let's just make that a bit smaller, a bit nicer. Sorry, I'm doing two things at once again. I'm going to hide that because we don't want the players to see it. Yeah, there's no reason why you can't then extend it onto the Shattered Obelisk. For me, I could use this as a propulsion onto another adventure. So if you want to be really mean, when they finish this, throw them straight into Curse of Strahd. Yeah, if you can do that. So my Curse of Strahd campaign started from Phandelver. Why not? Because I'm an a-hole, probably. You just need to judge the levels and things like that. There's plenty of adventures and things around this area. So there's lots of things you can do. Right, so first of all, we are in the cave entrance. So let's have a quick look, see what is here. And I'm fairly sure that we're going to have a tile for this as well. So when they follow the map, blah, 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 leads to a large cavern, blah, 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 blah. Open pit, climbing down the open pit, etc. There are boots of striding and springing, apparently, just hanging around. So first of all, we can make sure that we've got the item relevant for this area. So I haven't got it there. I still didn't put Omnisearch on, and I thought I was going to do that. Give me a second. Oh, I did put it on. Because I had that selected. That's why. So boots of, are they still called striding and walking? Striding and springing. Yeah, oh, so they are striding and springing. Yep, that's correct. So this makes it really easy. This is why I like, and of course you don't have to have this mod at all. You really don't. But I like it because it's really easy for me to just go, look, straight from the DMG. Boom, there we go. We've got the item sorted. Yeah, it's ready to go. It's so quick and easy. It just, yeah. And I know you can, I know we've learnt, didn't want to do that. We've learnt different ways of using the actual search functions and things like that. And we're getting slightly better with that. New rule books and all of that. That makes it a bit awkward. But yeah, it's just easier to be able to do it with the Omnisearch, I find. But then I'm a patron, so I get it regardless. Mumbling again, aren't I? Right, let's have a look at these tiles. So it talks to us about the cave entrance, no camp, which is interesting. Cave entrance, no rope. I know you can't see those, but let's have a look at those tiles. We're going to go to our tile browser. We've been here before. I'm going to choose where to save it, and I need to make sure I save it in the right place. Phandelver is what I'm using to save all these bits. We're going to put that into scenes, why not? And I'm going to choose file, and I don't want to be in there, do I? Where do I want to be? I want to be in Phandelver Resources. Let's jump to there. We can come back to here. My campaign resources, Phandelver Resources. There it is. And we are in Wave Echo Cave. And I haven't sorted this folder out because I'm a disgusting human being. We're in overlays and we're in the gridless folder. There we go. So there's that cave entrance, no camp. So let's bring that in to start with. Sometimes it's easier when you know what it's called. Cave entrance, no camp. Let's just drag that in. Now remember, we resized ours, so this is oh, I see, this is ridiculously large. This is why I want to leave the grid on, because it makes it much easier for lining these things up. So that is that bit there. Yeah, the issue is this original map, we're not using the one with the camp on anyway. So this particular tile, which we can overlay to not have, if I overlaid it properly, of course, so we could overlay it to say, oh look, we don't want to see the camp. It's irrelevant to us, that one. So I'm going to get rid of it. All right, let's have a look at the next one. And this is the kind of the challenge when there's lots of different versions of the maps. Hello, Jason. Nice to see you. Yeah, on and off. That's fine. No worries, mate. It's just good to have you here for any time you can make it, buddy. So cave entrance, no rope. So have we got one with rope? Oh, don't want me to move it while I'm doing that. See, we haven't got the rope in here anyway, so that becomes irrelevant to us, doesn't it? So really well prepared, and I think they're the only ones for the entrance here anyway. Yeah. So if you use the map that's got all of the graphics already on, like the rope, like the camp setup and everything else, it gives you tiles to overlay that to get rid of them. Well, I've used the one that haven't got them in the first place, so that's quite easy. All right, so it does talk about it was the campsite for the Rock Seekers. The dead dwarf Tharden, Gundren's brother, who was killed by the Black Spider. Gundren's other brother, Nundro, was here as well and is currently the Black Spider's prisoner. So we kind of want a dead dude, don't we? But we don't have a dead dude. That's fine. That's one of those things that we can just go and find an image for and do that. In fact, actually, we should be able to do that. If I come out of there, we can find all sorts of dead people. If I go into... I don't want to come out of it, you plank. Come on, brain. You can work. You can do it. There we go. Found help. This is a problem with me doing it on Sunday evenings. That's the only excuse I've got, so I'm using it. But I've got the Forgotten Adventures map making pack, so I can look in here and I can find all sorts of goodies for us. Do I want gore, corpses, humanoid? And then we've got a whole bunch of corpses and bodies and things that we can throw in here if we want to. Now, not all of them are quite what we want, but we can certainly do that. Let's just grab one of these. Let's grab this one. Just as an example to show you, and we can slap that out. It's huge on our map, but obviously we're going to resize that. So what we could do is make that a bit more... Let's make it one tile size, because each one's 5 by 5 foot. We could do that, and we could put that body just there. I'm going to not hide it. I'm going to lock it. So there we go. We might come in and stumble upon and find that body, etc. So we can do that if we want to. Now the question is, we did all of this and we decided, because we had to do some sizing of the map, didn't we? Which was a pain in the bum because the map wasn't quite aligned where we needed it to be. And we ended up with... Yeah, good. These doorways being about 5 foot across, which is what they should be. That makes logical sense. So this is kind of to the right scale with regard to those. It just means like some of these passageways are like 10 foot wide, which really is quite wide for, you know, just... Why would you mine out 10 foot wide for passages that don't really kind of go anywhere? That's an awful lot of effort. But there we go, it's D&D, right? It doesn't have to actually... I really get over myself. Alright, so there's not an awful lot we need to do there, because it's all kind of descriptive. They're going to climb down there. The second thing... And there's no monsters or anything, which is great. So the second thing that we need to do is come up here, and this area here, this is area 2, so we can just slap this in here. So we know that this is area 2, and this is a little bit more interesting, I do believe. The mine tunnels. Okay, so the maze of passage, old section, consists of numerous intersecting passages, etc. Dead end passages, blah blah blah. Patiently lurking is an orca jelly, because jellies and stuff, they are, I mean, I love them as a DM, but as a player. Orca, no, I can't spell it, can I? Jelly. Missed the H out. Just, oh dear, awful human being, but there we go. Orca jelly. So I want the monster manual version, so we're going to chuck that over there, so we've got it. All right, and then I can just chuck this out pretty much anywhere I like. And the idea is that that moves. I'm going to start it in a dead end, and as it detects them, it starts following them around the place and moving somewhat randomly, etc. And then it will hunt them down. You as the DM, depending on the experience of your party, you will decide how exactly to use something like that. It will randomly move around the dungeon at various points. Basically, effectively every round, it will move a square. And when anybody in the party gets within its detection range, it's going to start making a beeline for them. That's how I like to play that. All right, that was easy, really easy, really simple. A lot of these. English is hell of a language. Yeah, at least the spelling in some cases. Well, yeah, and that's because it's as much as people get upset when you say it, it's like English isn't really its own language. It's a composite of so many others, whether it comes from French, from the Gaelic languages, the Germanic root languages. You know, we've been invaded by so many people. You know, well, I know we've invaded everybody else in return. I know that. but they started it, right? That's the only defense we've got. All right, let's go look at area 3. That's rubbish. Oh dear. We've got no defense. We have no defense at all. We have a disgusting history of invading other countries. There's lots of positivity that's come with it, but we're not going to get into all of that politics, and I'm not going to apologise on behalf of the British Empire and some of the things it did. That's for sure. Right. Old entrance. Ah, yes. Okay, so clinging to the sea... Sorry. Every time I hover over one of these, it brings a pop-up, which must be driving you nuts. All right, so, yeah, lots of tunnels, blah, 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 nearly 2 desert skeletons, etc. The ceiling are 10 sturges. We like sturges. They're really simple little annoying creatures. They're not particularly dangerous to our players, which we like. We haven't got sturges in anywhere else. And they're a classic D&D monster, aren't they? So, again, we're going to make sure we're using the one from the monster manual. Okay, so we've got all the best stats and things, and because this is Foundry, the Monster Manual, the PHB, the DMG do get updated quite a lot, and if we're using the ones from the Monster Manual, we're going to have already the most automation kind of built in for a lot of these abilities and stuff like that, so it's kind of silly not to. Right, let's just do copy and paste. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Nice and easy, and we're going to hide them because they're not, they're ambush predators. They're not going to just be sitting there waiting to be watched. If they don't spot them hanging on the ceiling, they're going to get squidged. So nice and easy. So it does actually talk about, and again in the module it talks about the fact that there's, any character who isn't watching the ceiling is surprised unless his or her passive wisdom is higher than the Sturge's dexterity. That's quite a lot of dice rolling and things like that. I would just go with the new 2024 rules of something drops from, and unless they particularly are searching for it, it would just be something drops from the ceiling, roll initiative, the Sturge is getting advantage because of surprise. It's a much cleaner surprise mechanic than the old rules. It's also a little bit, I know not everybody's in favour of them. It doesn't necessarily make sense. If you're hiding in a bush and you're going to snipe somebody under the 2024 rules, they can still get initiative before you, even though they haven't seen you. It's a little bit weird. But there we go. I tend to fudge things like that, as most DMs do, I think. They kind of go, that's not realistic, that's not happening. Yes, you get to go first, but you're not aware there's anything to react to, so we just skip on. So again, really nice and easy. Oh, by the way, just give you a bit of a news update just while I'm on this. A couple of things. So for those of you who followed Curse of Strahd and building that and things, you'll know that one of the modules we looked at was Ripper's Portal, which enables us through very simple macros to be able to change one token into another. So in Curse of Strahd specifically, a lot of the big bad guys, Raodin and things like that, they have more than one form. You can do that. We don't need Portal anymore, because we can just do that. We can just morph them anyway. I'm going to show you how, just so that you know. We're going to take Rufus the Rat Familiar for whatever reason, and we're going to open him up, and we're going to give him a new ability, right? And we're just going to give him a class feature. It doesn't matter what it is. The activity we're going to give him is Transform. Now, obviously, this is used for things like Polymorph and stuff like that. Activation, you set all of that stuff as normal. It's the transformation bit. So rather than, oh, it's selecting challenge rating you pick from a list, you can do a direct link. And what is it going to actually transform into? If we add profiles, we can drop a creature here. Let's choose a Twig Blight. I'm going to mess up my rat, aren't I? Oh no, I'm just going to delete this ability. We can select a Twig Blight. We can then go to settings, and this is where you can make changes to that, because if you've got a monster that, like in Curse of Strahd, it hits 0 hit points, activates an ability, and then changes into a second form complete with hit points. This is really good for polymorph, but we want to polymorph into a thing, but we're going to customize it. We're not going to bring in the new anything, because we want it all from the new character. We're going to keep any effects. So if you got stunned, you come over stunned. If you're exhausted, you come over exhausted and stuff. And this annoys me. I don't want you to automatically give me temporary hit points. I'm going to take that out, which is fine. That is now done. That ability. That's it. This new transform thing is amazing. So wherever you are, my little dude, where did I throw you? I threw you here. If I now click that new item, I didn't even bother naming it. Notice it says transform. That's done. It's that easy. And note that this character sheet now has all of the stat blocks, everything, the hit points and everything of that new creature. So that's really, really useful. I know I'm massively segueing from what we should be doing. Oh, let me just... Brilliant, I didn't save it on the character, I only saved it on his token. That's good, it's gone. So that's a really, really useful thing to know, that you can do that and it's really easy. I know I went over that really quickly, but half the battle with Foundry is knowing what you can do. Once you know you can do it, you know what to Google, you can go and look it up, etc. But I will do a bit more of a detailed on something like that fairly soon. Right, the guard room. I'll come back to my other bit of news in a moment. This guard room, protected by nearby entrance to the mine. It was overrun, blah, 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 blah. What's in here? 9 skeletons. They fight until destroyed. Again, Phandelver, it's really simple stuff. They don't bother with lots of fancy stuff for most of it. We're just chucking out 9 skeletons. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And what you can do in this instance, I'm just going to swap those two around, because we got things like it's randomizing the type of token between these two. They've all got short swords and short bows. I would instantly go, well, the skeletons that happen to have the icon with a bow, they're all going to be using the bow, and the ones who've got swords are going to be using the swords. That's just how that's just how I do it. Just because it's easier for me than me determining, and skeleton swapping weapons and things doesn't make a huge amount of sense when they are not directly controlled by the necromancer or whomever summoned them. So yeah, I don't tend to do that. All right, you'll notice, yeah, I've got my BBG3 interface coming up as well. All right, let's go and do the next room, because we could just whiz through these. The assayer's office. Now, I'm pretty sure that's the one over the corridor. Yeah, it's just over here on that right hand side, so that's nice and easy for it. And we're talking about some treasure and a strongbox, so Again, I just want to copy my number, slap it over here, update it to 5 so we know that. Pretty sure that this was information and they are all hidden, which is good. So in the assayer's office, if you don't know what an assayer is, it's somebody who evaluates the purity of precious metals and things like that. Okay, and then, you know, validates it and classifies it. If you need any more details than that, that's it. That's the limit of my knowledge. All right. So it talks about centuries old paper in the cubby holes, disintegrative touch, blah, 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 blah. Behind the counter, or there isn't a counter, and I can't be bothered to go and find one. Use your imaginations. That's what D&D is. It talks about... it's just got gold in it. It's got 600 copper, 180 silver, 90 electrum pieces that everybody hates, and 60 gold. So there's no actual treasure to build there. That's just boring. I mean, yeah, thanks for the money, but really boring from an accountant point of view. Let's have a quick look at some of these tiles and see if we've missed anything that we should be potentially putting out here. So the old guard room, which was number 4, got everything on top of everything else. Of course I have. The old guard room, no skeletons. Is that old guard room? Let's bring it in and find out. Because it's no skin off my nose to bring that in. Of course, it's going to take me back to the corpses. I don't want the corpses. I wanted campaign resources. This is one of the reasons why I like having my games all fully built and in a compendium, because once it's built I can just delete all of these and I know exactly where to find everything. You might be more organised than me and not find that an issue. But you might not. Old guard room was called, wasn't it? Room 4. Slap that out. It's huge. So our scaling is way off. That's about this. Right, so that's about this room here, okay? And it's very different. Get that scaling about right. Nope. Oh, I think that might be supposed to be 1 over... You can tell when I'm concentrating, can't you? Yeah, it's not quite to the same scale there. But you can see that this is what the map looks like if you've got all of the junk and everything on it that I decided not to bother with. Oh, my screen's just having a flicker. It doesn't affect you guys. Yeah, no, that does need to be slightly bigger. That's better. So, you know, depending what version of the map you want to use, you might want it with all the junk on and stuff. I've gone with the bare rooms one, and now I'm thinking perhaps I shouldn't have done. Perhaps I should have gone with the ones with some of the junk on. But some of the rooms with some of the junk on, it's got junk on I don't want, if you know what I mean. So maybe we'll leave that one and we'll use that one and we'll leave it on there. Yeah. Oh, now you can see just how much that is misaligning. Oh, it's going to annoy me now, isn't it? It's going to drive me up the wall, the fact that it doesn't... Ah, that looks better. Doesn't meet up there, and it's because I've changed the size of... I've changed the size of the map in the background, so I certainly don't want it snapping a grid. How about I just don't? All right? How about I just don't? But you get the impression. And again, I don't feel it's necessary. So there's the old guard room door. Yeah, so that's literally just putting in the fact that the door is open. Because on these doors are closed, right? So let's bring that one in just so that we can have a look. Because again, you know, I can't share this version of this module with you, so you'd have to build it your own if you were going to. And if you were going to do that, it's useful to know my mistakes. That's the only excuse I've got. Let's bring that in. Oh, what was it called? Room for... It's useful that they've called them like that. Guard door, there we go. Again, it's huge. Massively disproportioned. Bring that in. I haven't got it right. I haven't got it even close to being right. Oh yeah, it's much, much smaller. Anyway, you get the impression, you get the idea, is that what they're basically saying is, oh look, you know, if you want, you can put this door in place instead to show that that door is that's better aligned. That door is now open. Now I've had this kind of thing before about, because Foundry you can now have doors like animated doors that open and stuff like that. Fine, that's great. It doesn't fit with the rest of the graphics particularly well, because obviously I'm not using the same version and it's at a different scale and everything else like that. We've been playing Foundry with doors like this and they click it and can walk through and nobody really cares, so I would just leave it like that and I really wouldn't be bothering too much. I would prefer a version of this map that doesn't have the door on at all, so that we can use the Foundry version for doing that. But there we go. Alright, was there any other tiles? There was one for the assayer's room as well. Where's my folder? Yep, I've managed to lose my folder. Brilliant. You don't need to see that, but there we go. That's my folder. Put it in the wrong window, that's why. So there is, again, there's an office door for here as well. And then the next one is the barracks room, which is number 6. And that's what we're going to be doing next anyway. So let's just check which one number 6 is, because I haven't gone through and put all the numbers on first, which means I'm currently scrolling through the module going which room's which is why I normally go through and do them all first, but that's boring, and last week we spent ages you just watching me do walls and talking nonsense, which is really dull. So we're trying not to do that too much. All right, so yeah, number 6 again. It just gives us doors. So we've got the north door. Yeah, so we've got the north door. We've got the north door with lights. We've got the south door. So this one down here, and we've got the south door. We've got 2 versions of the south door. Yeah, it's just. It's great. I like the fact that they've given you that option. It's not necessary. There's also, let me show you this one. There is also things like, where is it? This one here, which is this room with all the stuff in. But I don't like this where it's pre-lit. And the reason why I don't like it where it's pre-lit is because Foundry does my lighting for me. I don't really want it. I don't really want Foundry the images having the lights on. So any of these with lights on, I won't use anyway, because we can put our own stuff in, can't we? You know, easy peasy. All right. Strange things are happening with my screen over there. What have I done? Excellent. Inadvertently highlighting all sorts of stuff. There we go. Good. Right. So what is actually in number 6 that we need to know about? It's doing there we go. Oh, my machine's having a bit of a headache today. I suspect it's me. Right, this area 6. This is the miners' barracks, where the skilled delvers working in Wave Echo Cave rested between shifts. Any character who listens at the partially open door hears faint crunching and splintering sounds with a successful DC 10 wisdom check. So either of those doors. Now, it doesn't say anything about any of these doors so far. All of our doors are just doors. All right, we haven't got any locked doors. In fact, if we do it by the actor icon, it's much easier to see whether your doors are locked and stuff like that. All right, but so it talks about 3 ghouls are in here. We haven't got ghouls yet, have we? I don't think we've... Nope, no ghouls. Doppelgangers, yep, but no ghouls. So that's easy. Again, I want to make sure that I'm using the monster manual ghouls. All right, and the proper ghouls, stick you in there. And we're going to stick 3 ghouls out here. Now, we can obviously replicate a lot of that... decoration and stuff that we have seen in the damn computer, come on, you can do it. We can replicate a lot of the furniture and stuff like that using either, if we don't want to use the map one because it's got the lights on, we can absolutely replicate that. So you saw me bring in the corpse, this one over here on the left. If you've got access to, and bear in mind that the Forgotten Adventures map making pack, there's a huge pack that is 100% free, so it's well worth going to look at. Yes, of course I have got the more advanced one for other things because I use them a lot for different bits, but it's 100% free. So for the you know, there is a free pack. It's got loads of stuff in it. So you can decorate these things yourself as much as you want. It's really, really cool, which is great. And it does really help bring everything to life with what you're trying to do. All right. So apart from that, that's it. There's 3 ghouls in here. It's a fight. Another fight. Next is onto the storeroom. So you can see how quickly this goes with this kind of map. There's not a lot. There's not a lot of foundry prep to do. Yes, if we were automating the whole thing, there would be more. And certainly starting to play this game, I'd be going, right, automated animations. I should have automated animations on. I would be going, right, I'm going to make this ghoul make its attacks. Has it got animations and stuff like that? I'd be doing all of those and checks and things. But the build itself is really quite straightforward. Now, number 7 is this whole area. So it's not just this one room. It's a storeroom. Dusty kegs and things like that. There is nothing of interest in here at all. But we are now moving on to, I think we're on to this area here now, which is number 8. This is where things start to get a little more interesting, at least from a building point of view. So let's make sure we put our 8 in there. We know where we are. This is the fungus room. Now, this is another one of those areas where this adventure kind of has got big kind of plot holes in it. So just to read you this, because it's quite important you kind of know what it is. This cave has hindered Nezar's explorations. So the big bad evil guy of this module has not managed to deal with this particular cave. He suspects the mine's magic workshops are close by, but he's reluctant to risk dealing with the monsters here. Now, that is a fair enough logical comment to make about being wary of getting tangled up in stuff. It's fungi. Okay. It's got some poison gas in here when anybody attempts to move across. Okay. He's a drow from the Underdark. And he's scared of a little bit of underground fungus. Really? Is he? And he can't figure out a way to get through it? Really? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? I just find that really difficult. The players are going to successfully get through where the drow who lives in the Underdark and is a spellcaster can't figure out just burn the damn place down. You know, he's got fire spells as well. It's like, come on, really? It's just a bit, you know, he's supposed to be intelligent. All right. So shall I stop whinging about the module? Now, what did I do with... it doesn't... I'm going to have to do... Excuse me a second. Just bear with me. I normally have my taskbar switched off for this, but it's being super stupid today, and it's just hiding all of my windows, and then it's not popping up, so I can't find anything. So you'll have to put up with it. All right, so there is going to be... the room 8. Have we got any... Oh, we haven't. Oh, okay. So the one room that I would expect there to be a tile for i.e. this one, there isn't, which is fantastic. Now, in the updated Phandelver and Below The Shattered Obelisk, it actually puts some fungus creatures in here, which does make it a lot more interesting because you actually got something to fight. In this version, it's only the fact that there's poison gas in here. That's it. So that poison gas, when you attempt to cross the cavern, the carpets of fungi that cover most of the floor release poisonous gas into the air. Each creature in the cavern must make a DC 11 Constitution saving throw or take 3d6 poison damage and be poisoned for 10 minutes. The gas disperses after 1 minute. That's it. That's the entire of the thing that he couldn't deal with. None of his creatures, his minions and things like that could deal with it. So we don't actually need to do anything here. But we can. We can if we want to. So we could... I don't think I've got... What have I got installed? So I've got automated animations. And I've got JB2A as well. But I haven't got Monk's active tile triggers. And I don't want to get into a lot of those kind of modules, but this is exactly the kind of thing that previously we used Monk's active tile triggers for putting out various places and triggers there, and you step on it and it would produce a cloud. But what we can do here, because we have got JB2A, we can put a tile out. Or rather, let's find an animation first. If I can remember where the animations thingy is. Have I not got it activated? Oh no, there we go. Sequencer database, which will give us JB2A. Let's have a look and see what we can find in the way of there we go. See what we can find in the way of gas clouds. So if you're not familiar with the sequencer database, with sequencer on, you get this little database icon here. It's under token controls. I thought it was under one of the others as well, but there we go. And that will bring this up and show all the animations you've got. So if you've also got JB2A, which is the animation pack, suddenly you have a whole bunch of things that you can look at and find something that is going to work for you, and then use that animation for all sorts of different things. Putting on a tile, using automated animations as a spell effect, etc. So that's kind of what we're doing. Let's have a little look through, see what we've got. Aura themed, probably not. You know, there's some brilliant stuff, but there's also some pants stuff. Oh, it's not pants, that's not true. You know, pretty swirly stuff like that. It's really nice, but not what we're looking for. We're looking for something poisonous. Breath weapons. Let's go to P and see if we've just got a plain old poison. I know it's horrible when people scroll on screen like that. I try to do it quick. Particles, plant growth, portals. We've got smoke. I mean, we could look for something like smoke. Witch bolt. Blah, 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 blah. Whirlwind. No, none of that. None of that. Just having a sip of water. All this talking. Templates, circle. I mean, you know, what does that mean? Whirl, vortex. I mean, you know, we don't need that. We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't really want that. We don't want that. That's pretty cool if you've got the right thing for it. Swirling feathers, leaves, etc, etc, etc. If I can't find anything too soon, then well, we'll give up on it. But smoke can be a good one. If we find things like plumes of smoke, what colours have we got? We've got a dark green. You can use things like that. Let's use that as an example so we're not spending ages looking for stuff. We're going to use this. And what I need to do is notice next to this, so we're going to be looking at the dark green one. This is the play preview, the little triangle play button. We've then got the copy as sequencer database path or copy as a direct file path, depending on what you're going to be using it for. I'm going to do direct file path, so I'll click that. I'm going to leave that over there for a minute. I'm going to create a new tile anywhere for the moment, and I can paste that directly into there and go, yeah, create tile. This tile is now updated to say, hang on a minute, this looks like a video. what do you want to do? Do you want to autoplay it? Do you want to loop it? Does it have volume, etc.? It doesn't have any volume because this is purely an animation. And I can just create tile. And here we go. We've got this green plume here. Nifty, huh? So then we can stick that places. For one, we can hide it. We can stop that animation. I'm going to let it get to the end. Okay, so I can pause that animation. I can put this tile wherever I want. You know, make it really big if I want to. I can hide it. I can pause it. I don't need to hide it because there's nothing for them to see. Players walk in here and then all I need to do is play that and I can do an animation so that they can see something happening. Now, if I was using Monk's Active tile triggers, I would have this animation triggered from a pressure plate. They walk in the room, you know, and then I can click a button, or they step on a pressure plate effectively. They don't know that they've done that. And it would force them to make a roll. It would play the animation, and then they've got to make the roll for that constitution. So you can do nifty things like that with Sequencer really, really easily if you just wanted to add stuff in there. Mats is the best. Yes, it is, Igla. It just so much you can do with it. Now, as we move on, version 13, Foundry and things like that, they are bringing in more stuff that we used to use Mats for, which is good, and making that stuff core. But there's still so much that Mats does that core can't do. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Just triggering stuff. Yeah. Can you do it with regions? Yeah, you stepped in a region, that activates something, but then you end up having to write a macro for it. And basically Monk's Active Tile Triggers has those macros kind of included in there. I'm going to stop running that, or otherwise, if you've got loads of animations running at the same time, it starts to impact performance. So that room is a bit more interesting, but again, Shattered Obelisk version is better. It just is better. Oh, get rid of that. All right, so that's that room for this purpose. That's the one thing that is stopping the big bad guy from going anywhere. Number 9, the Great Cavern is the next one. Just checking which one that is. That is this big one here. So we can quickly grab that. Make this our number 9. And as I've said before, the reason I do this is because it just makes it so much easier when I'm running the module. I don't need to look at the adventure map. I know I'm in area 9. I can just jump to area 9 in the module, read that. Haven't got to flick between that and the you know, and the map in the module itself. Why aren't I running maps? Maybe I missed it. The reason I'm not running maps in this is because this series is aimed at the really basic stuff for people brand new to Foundry, and Mats does get quite complicated, so I want to build up to that stuff. So for example, just showing that you can put an animation on a tile, okay, that's step 1. That is a big step forward for a lot of people when they're very, very new to Foundry. If we jump straight into Mats, they're potentially going to get lost. What I would like people to do, go, hey, I'm a DM and I want to use Foundry. I want them to be able to quite quickly get a game running in Foundry. Here's the basic stuff that you need so you can run a game. This is how you can build a scene. Without all of the wonderful stuff that we do, because it overwhelms people and they give up and then they stop using it, or they spend forever building their adventure and never play. When they are ready for those next steps and they want to enhance and they understand what they want to do, of course, we've got lots of videos on all sorts of things like Monk's Active Tile Triggers, making traps and stuff like that. And I'm aware that the traps one desperately needs an update because things have moved on and stuff like that. So if you are watching this and you're brand new to Foundry, yeah, there's tons of stuff you can do, but actually get your game running. Get your game running, having fun with your mates. Don't get stuck just doing this. But the idea, Adam, it is a good question, mate, because this is really quite simplistic, the way that we're doing this, in the same way that we're doing it with a fairly simplistic adventure. See Curse of Strahd for something a bit more technical. So we're doing this for brand new players and stuff like that. But once we finish building this, then we can come back to it and go, right, how can we enhance this scene? What could we now do differently? And I've already kind of accidentally got ahead and myself by doing that, but revisiting, going, what can we do? Can we use Mats to improve this scene? Can we use sequencer or portal or patrol or MIDI QOL or anything like that to improve the game, so we're stepping up and not solving problems, but looking at specific adventure and saying what will help this adventure be better? Yeah, rambling. Right, number 9. What are we doing? So again, the next version of this, the Shattered Obelisk, is definitely better. Once served as a banquet room, great. 7 ghouls lurk in the shadows. That's it. 7 ghouls. Chuck them out. Ah, dear. Now I tend to put my ghouls up here, so the adventurers can hear the ghouls scratching around in the dark recesses of the chamber. How many did it say? Did it say 7? So you can hear them scratching around, don't necessarily know what they are, and then they can flood down the steps, charging at the adventurers. If they come in from this one, they end up having a fight here. If they come in from this way, then the ghouls can rush down the steps towards them. It gives the ranged combatants a good chance to, you know, get off a few arrows and things like that before the ghouls crash into them. But kind of, I like them to have that feel of panic that they're being rushed by a group of the undead. Classic trope from pretty much any zombie film ever, right? But it works. It's good. I'm going to hide those for now, because I don't really want characters wandering past this bit down here, down at the bottom here, and then looking up there and going, oh yeah, I can see everything that's going on. It's like, oh right, that ruins that surprise. I want them to come in here, hear the scratching around, then find them. Unless they're very specifically using some kind of magic or stealth or something to discover them first. Okay. Like I say, boring encounter. That's it. I believe we're on to this area over here now, which I think is... copy that. Let me just verify. Again, I'm having to scroll to the map because I haven't put these on earlier. Yes, that is correct. We are in this area now. This is area 10. Just trashing everything on my desk, of course. And this is the dark pool. Alright, so what is the dark pool? Again, not a huge amount of excitement in here. Pools fills this large cavern, blah, 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 blah. No monster. There's just a skeleton, wears 2 platinum rings and clutches a wand of magic missiles. So, and that's in the water, if they want to go in the water. Again, it's not very interesting. You know, it's an old skeleton on the bottom. It's 10 feet from the shore and 10 feet underwater. As there's no monsters or anything in there, it's not a very exciting encounter. You know, they might be, you know, anticipating something to go hideously wrong, and nothing happens. Let's give them that magic missile, though, eh? The wand of magic missiles. Wand of magic missiles from the DMG. There we go. Just make sure I've put that in the right folder. Easy peasy. That's ready to go for them. Yeah, nice and simple. 11, the North Barracks. See what I mean? I'm having to... 11, this is that middle one here. This is often the room that the party ends up wanting to sleep in. And I was like, oh, we're going to have a long rest in here. Are you? Are you really? It's this one here. Just have a quick check while we're here that we've got our doors in place. That's good. So what goes on in this North Barracks in this version? Not an awful lot. This is actually being used as a barracks by 5 bugbears within here that are loyal to Nesnar. So he's got 5 bugbears that are loyal to him, and he can't deal with 1 room full of gas. The room marks the front line of the Black Spider's assault, and the bugbears are here to prevent ghouls and zombies or other undead from troubling their master in the lair. In other words, to stop undead coming in this direction to come and trouble him up here. Okay, so that's the idea. I mean, you know, this thing down here is wandering around, and it can absolutely wander in up here if it wants to. But hey, let's just pretend that's not a thing. That's what I mean. I know I shouldn't be that critical, but all right, 5 bugbears. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and again, we can put furniture in if we want to, using those tiles and things like that. And again, when we come back and we go, how can we make this better? That's exactly the kind of thing that we can do. Make it all better, make it all nice, and make it all shiny. And, you know, for those of you who have done the face-to-face, pencil and paper D&D without tokens, without battle maps and things like that, this is a no-brainer for, you know, being able to just describe the room or what's in there, and your players just going with it. They don't care that the map's empty. You know, they are used to having a piece of paper and trying to draw out the map themselves as they go and doing their own map making. Certainly my players, because we're all old farts, but but people who've come along to D&D and their first D&D has been more digital and stuff, they would probably expect to see a bit more than that. But deal with it. Okay, it's a game of imagination. We're supposed to be using our imagination. We don't want to give too much away. All right, so that is pretty cool. North Barracks. So it says there's just 5 bugbears in here. It says there's the largest bugbear carries a pouch of some coins and a potion of vitality. So let's add in a potion of vitality. That is still a thing. So again, we just shove that. So all we're doing, the only reason why we're shoving it over there is because it makes it easy. If you've got something like Ripper's Omnisearch like I have, I wouldn't really necessarily bother doing that, because you saw how quick that is for me to find it. You know, it's literally shift space, type it in, there it is. You can chuck it straight onto a character sheet, job done. But it's nice to have these things here, just quick reference. It does make life easier, you know. As much as I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to use Omnisearch all the time. Yeah, makes life easier, but actually over here is even better. Okay, dokay. What room's next? The smelter cavern, which is this one. Now, let's have a check of our tiles again and see if there's anything that we should have been using that we haven't been. Let's make those extra large. So room 6, we talked about the doors, we talked about the lights and stuff. We're not doing that. Now, for the pool, you can see that there is this skeleton here on the edge of the pool. Now, the description actually says that the skeleton is in the water, 10 foot away from the bank and 10 foot down. So we don't want to do that, because that's not what we want. This, though, room 10, the water channel, we are probably going to use that. Because that's for this bit here. So I mentioned this when we did the walls. You can go under this, or you can go over it. And again, without using mods specifically, Core Foundry can't handle that. Because you've either got walls to stop them falling off the edge, or walking off the edge, or seeing off the edge. Or you can go this way without doing it. But even if we use that tile, let's bring that tile in, because it's a really good tile to use as an example with exactly this problem. It's that one right there. There it is. Let's dump that out. Yes, it's huge because it's not scaled to my map remotely, or rather my map's not scaled the same. But it goes across there, yeah? Almost got it perfect then. There we go. I'm in. I don't know why I'm fiddling quite so much. Let's just go with that and just say that that's good enough, yeah? So you can travel up this way and swim out here. Okay, makes perfect sense. That's great, lovely, jubbly. But how do you do the walls? How do you get the walls to change with that? Again, you absolutely can do that with things like Monk's Active Tile triggers. And you can say, well, and you can draw walls in for one way, walls in for the other way. You can have a button or a pressure plate or something like that, that when you activate it, it will turn off some of those walls and turn on the others, and it will switch between the two. And that is probably the way that we will come back to doing things like that. But in Core Foundry, it just can't handle those different level heights. There is another way that you can do it using the level height of your token and using Ripper's wall height, by defining how high this wall is at the bottom and the top. So it's, let's say we're 10 foot up if we're on this corridor, and the wall starts at 10 foot up to infinity. so that you can go under the wall. If that makes sense. So if you're down here, where you're at 0 level rather than 10, you can go under the wall. If you're up here, you can go across because you're on the same level. So you can do it that way as well. For those of you who know that, have seen that module, and things like that. But if you're new to Foundry, all of that lot, you're probably going, what the heck are you talking about? We will come back and solve this problem, probably using Monk's active tile triggers, I think, because that's going to be useful for so many other things in here. Gabelim. What other one was I looking at over here? Oh, the barricaded room that we were looking at, room 11. And then it goes on to room 14. We are interested in room 12. And they haven't got it. They haven't got anything for room 12. That's interesting. I assumed they would have the smelter and stuff, but they haven't. And that's fine. So this old room is the smelter room here. We need to bring across our... Oh, we didn't label this one. That's going to annoy me later. Bring that over. This is room 12. There we go. Lovely. Okay, so what is room 12? So, like the fungi cavern, this chamber has also managed to stop the big bad evil guy from moving any further. So, again, this drow from the Underdark, who is, you know, their main adversary, he's managed to arrange kidnapping of the dwarf. He's got these bugbear legions and goblin... Well, not armies, it's not that severe. He's got all of these things going on. He's able to influence with regard to the red brands in Phandelver, all of these things, yet he's stopped by this one room that the players will easily mop up. Alright, so still formulating a plan to get past the undead guardians here. Now, in fairness, this is a pretty tough fight for the players. 8 of the fallen dwarf warriors are zombies. So we've got 8 zombies. Let's chuck those in straight away. That's really easy. Pretty sure we've got zombies down here. So we're going to go 1, 2. In fact, actually, I'm going to prone these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Prone. 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now the reason why I've made them prone is because if they're laying on the floor, once they first start to move and get up, they've got to get up off the floor. So it just reminds me to give them only half of their movement in their first turn as they get up off the floor to do that. You don't need to. I just find it's really useful to remind myself that they are actually on the floor. Alright, so they rise up and pursue any living creatures that enter the room, but they do not pursue creatures outside of this area for more than 1 round. In addition, a far more intelligent undead undead guards this area. It's a flame skull. We should be able to find a flame skull. It's a fairly standard monster these days. Oh, they've got Tasha's version of it as well. Doesn't really matter which we use. I don't know why there's... I don't know if there's anything different about them. I'm going to go with the core one from the DMG from the monster manual, because it's going to be the most up-to-date version of it, if there's a difference. And we're going to slap that out over here. Little flame skull. Now, did you notice, if I turn that off again, notice it glows? Boop. It actually has light already attached to this monster, which is really good. Sorry, if I go to light here, it's already got light settings. And I really like that about the new monsters and stuff. If they've got things like they are glowing, they're glowing? It's what they should be. Already got it built in. We haven't got to go around worrying about doing that kind of stuff, which is great. So basically this flame skull is here to attack them. Now let's just check what its abilities are. So it's got its fire ray, and it's got its spell casting, which gives it fireball, mage hand and magic missile. So that's the kind of stuff it should have. Now remember, the original Phandelver is a 2024 module, so you need to bear in mind that some of these monsters suddenly become I mean, it's challenge rating 4. It's suddenly become quite a lot more dangerous than the 2014 rules for some of them. Oops, I'm just trashing everything on my desk tonight. But there we go. That's what you're going to deal with. All right, so we've got a lot of the way through here. Got most of this done. We've got these rooms up here, which are kind of one thing. There's very little going on up here. This is a relatively straightforward area. And then we've got this here, which is a bit more interesting because this is where Nesnar is and we can deal with him and stuff like that. And again, just bear in mind, we're doing this as per the module to start with. We're pretty much on 8 o'clock my time. So that's kind of our hour. But like I say, we're going to finish this off. Probably next week we'll get all of this done, which is good. Any of the tiles and stuff like that. And then we're pretty much there. I do need to go back and still do Agatha's blinking the what's her name. Go back and do Agatha's lair, which we don't have maps for, but I will have some, or at least some images and stuff for that. And then we can start going through and going, right, how can we improve this? What's a good thing we'd want to do? So if you guys already have ideas and say, I'd really like to see this handled in this way, or I think we ought to, you know, focus on, you know, automated animation. So with a pretty shiny look to stuff, you cast this spell, you see the spell rather than just see the data. We can do that. We can look at introducing things like Monk's active tile triggers and things like that as well for some of those effects and stuff, which in this particular dungeon will be quite good. We've got a trap in the Cragmore Castle, for example, that at the moment we've got no kind of anything with. We just have a bit of a chat about it with the players and go, oh, you walk in there, give me a saving throw, which again, there's nothing wrong with that, and that is the way the game is written to be played, but we can do fancier things. So the last thing, while I've got people and they're watching this, because I don't want to do a completely separate video on it, I just want to bring you up to date with what's happening with Curse of Strahd, because we finished it. And actually it is version 13 compatible. If you saw that comment about that, it is version 13 compatible. You can download it. However, just so you know, what I'm currently doing is overhauling the entire packaging of the darn thing, which is ridiculous, but it's making it a lot more efficient. It's making a lot smaller module, where I've got some duplicates across different acts within that. I've got duplicates of some of the images, some of the tokens and stuff like that. So that's all being sort of reorganized for no benefit, because I'm using the old version for playing it myself. But what I want to do is be able to release that and go, that's kind of like the final version, much better packaged for everybody. So anybody new who's not already playing it and downloads a much more efficient version of it, just because it makes everybody's life a bit easier. And then next time I run it, because I will run it again, then I've got that version ready to go, much smoother, and it's all version 13 compatible, with every monster is version 13 of it, with the latest like D&D 2024 rules as well. So the new version will be aimed at version 13 of Foundry with the 2024 rules, whereas the current version is more 2014 rules version 12. You know what I mean? You understand that? I'm sure you do. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to turn this bloody grid off, because it's been driving me nuts all evening, and I thought I was going to use it more, and actually it's just there to annoy me, so I'm going to turn the grid off. Look, it looks so much nicer without that grid. Don't get me wrong, if you want to play with grid on, if that makes your life easier, fine, you do that. Personally, I mean, I know I make mine red and I make it very visible for you guys, but yeah, no grid is much better. They're still on a grid. They still move on a grid, but you just can't see it, which is much nicer. And of course, if my map was aligned a bit better, that would be even sweeter. Okay, so that's it for tonight. That's all we're doing. I know I've sidetracked a couple of bits to talk about other things, but you know, there's only so many tokens that you can put out for a whole live stream and keep people interested. And I thank you for those of you who who are still here and watching what is becoming quite a repetitive process of doing this. But we're nearly through that bit. One more week, I think, and then we'll be into a bit more interesting stuff and jazzing it up, playing with other mods and stuff like that to bring it up to speed and make it mwah, beautiful to be able to run. And of course, as an education piece for those people who are following along going, well, I know I'm relatively new, how can I do that? We can talk about some of those challenges, we can put in solutions, we can make it all beautiful, etc. Thank you very much, guys. Do appreciate you joining me for this. And the questions are always good, always good. If I can answer your questions, it makes all of this worthwhile, because that's why we're here. But yeah, I'm going to end the stream now. Take care. Have a good week. I promise you there will be some other videos coming. It's because I'm focusing on getting Curse of Strahd done, dusted and off my plate, and to clear that, which gives me more time to go back into modules. We've got to do some building of items, magic items and stuff using the new 2024 rules in version 13. We've got lots of that stuff to do. I want to redo Monk's active tile triggers for traps, all of that stuff. That is all coming. I just don't have time to do everything at once. Can you ask about the Baldur's Gate 3 HUD? Is it working 100%? In my experience, yes it is, Adam, 100%. I have not had any issues with it at all. It's working for monsters, and you'll see by default this has already got, this dude's got his stuff in. You saw me drop this token in. I've not touched Baldur's Gate 3 HUD. Can I auto populate? I can chuck everything in if I want. He's not going to have that much equipment because he's just a monster. There we go, hasn't got anything. Yeah, there was nothing in there, but all of these monsters, it brings him in straight away. They've got their slam in. The flame skull, bit more interesting. He's actually got some stuff, so you can see we've got his fire ray is in here, but we've also got his spell casting. If I click on spell casting, I can pick his spell from there, but I've also got them here and stuff. So I'm finding it works 100% in version 13. I've not had any dramas. I'm using it in my live Curse of Strahd game, zero issues. I'm using it in my in fact in this campaign, Phandelver campaign, for new players, not an issue either. So if you're bumping into problems, it's probably a button or something that you need to click that you're not, that you've missed or something like that. But if so, you know we've got a video in the mods for the Baldur's Gate 3, the BG3 HUD. If you're having problems with it, if you leave a comment in that video, then hopefully I can get back to you and give you an answer and get that fixed for you. Or I can't fix it, but you know what I mean. We can have a look at what those options are that might be causing you issues. Right, I'm out of here. As always, if you're watching this after whatever, you've got questions and things, drop them in the comments. If you've got ideas, things you would like me to see me do in this, let me know, and we can crack on. Right, I'm definitely going now. Good night, Igla. Take care. See you, Adam. See you, Jason, if you're still there, if you finished your lunch. And I will catch you all later. Bye-bye.